Okay, so welcome to Tank Takedown Solo little guide. We are doing today a solo using this team right here on the bottom, Jedi Ray with BB-8, 3PO, CLS, and Finn. As you can see, my Finn is low gear, not really necessary for him to be super high. Required Zetas are going to be the leadership on Jedi Ray and roll with the punches on BB-8. Strongly recommend it binds all things on Commander Luke. Mods, you're going to want speed on BB-8 and 3PO, combination speed and crit damage on Ray. Getting some potency on CLS is really nice, but not necessary. Getting him fast is also really nice, and Finn, you're going to want speed and you're going to want crit damage and offense. So let's go ahead and get into this and show you exactly how this goes down. So phase 1, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to land dazes and or confuses on the 3 adds. That will prevent them from getting the taunts, and you'll be able to just strictly focus down on Grievous. So first turn, I'm going to start landing confuses over here, and I'm going to land a daze over on the B2. With that done, remove turn meter from Grievous, and we'll start trying to land some exposes. And with that done, now I'm going to try to land a second confuse over here. You'd need 2 stacks of confuse or a daze. Any combination of those. I'm basically avoiding hitting Grievous as much as I can until I get all of those exposes, etc. Now, I don't think that I was able to land that second confuse. Okay, so now that everyone has 2 stacks of confuse or a daze, I can start focusing on Grievous, and I always call 3PO to assist. 3PO will remove or reduce cooldowns, and he removes turn meter on his basic as well. Here I went ahead and I used the taunt on Finn, and that was so that I could get get rid of all of those debuffs. And you saw I swapped over to the B2 to do a basic from 3PO. Reason I did that is so that I could get that expose. You want the exposes so that every time you use a special ability on a resistance, you will remove turn meter. With that done, just focus down on Grievous and just kind of let her rip. You can use the assist call from 3PO if you're feeling comfortable. If you're not, I'd recommend just using his basic on his turn. It all depends on how comfortable you are and how well you think that you're going to be doing. I'm fairly comfortable with this, as I've done it many times, so your first runs you might want to avoid doing the mass assist, because that's going to give him tons and tons of turn meter, and is going to possibly cause you issues, especially early on. So it's fairly straightforward once you get used to it. Sometimes you may want to avoid using Finn's damage special, and you might want to use his taunt, sometimes to cleanse debuffs, and sometimes just to avoid hitting him, because every 7 hits, Grievous takes that bonus turn, and if you don't remove enough turn meter on his bonus turn, he's going to take that bonus turn, and it's going to cause you a lot of pain. So sometimes you may want to avoid using the damage ability and use his taunt instead, but that's something that you'll just kind of have to get used to over time. So it's every 7 hits that he takes that bonus turn. It's not every time, like every 7 turns from your guys or anything like that. It's 7 times he takes damage, and that does include damage over times and exposes. So right now he's got 2 stacks of expose, so when I hit him here, that's 3 hits. And again, he's got 2 stacks of expose again, so right here, 3 hits. Right now he's got 0 stacks of exposed. Now he's got 1, so this is going to be 2 more hits. So you have to kind of take that into account as you're doing this this solo, and keep in mind that he will take bonus turns. You just have to try to get in as much damage as you possibly can, with before he basically just goes in rage and goes ham on your team. So right now I'm sitting at 58% hit points on him, and I'm doing pretty well. I've got 9 turns left to enrage. Don't think that I will be losing phase 1 here, just because of how well I've started out. So sometimes, sometimes you will just get really bad RNG. Grievous is going to take tons of bonus turns, and you're just not going to be able to prevent it from happening. And you just kind of have to live with that, work around it as best you can. The reason that this really does work so well is the leadership of Jedi Ray causes a lot of turn meter reduction for exposed enemies, and on top of that, you get turn meter gain for damaging exposed enemies. So with that, you get turns all over the place, and you prevent him from taking those turns. And then you add CLS in. CLS gives even more turn meter reduction with his special and with his basic, provided that he is already inflicted with slow down, or speed down rather. And now right here you can see he took a lot of bonus turns, and so I'm keeping an eye on that. He's got 4 turns left to enrage. So right now what I'm actually doing is trying to delay it and make it so that when I take a hit against him, I'm trying to ensure that it's going to be a big turn meter reduction hit. And that's because he is very, very close to going in rage, and I've still got 27% left. So right there, I used my special on CLS in the hopes that it would remove turn meter. Unfortunately, it did not. So I did get lucky there in that I was able to take some extra turns with my resistance, but that very, very easily could have gone sour. Now right here, he's about to take a turn, and if I use my basic, it's not going to remove enough turn meter for me to go with Luke and possibly remove more turn meter, so I'm going to use the special, and that's going to give my resistance characters more turn meter. And what I was hoping was going to happen there is that my resistance would have taken a turn before Grievous did. Now, unfortunately, of course, that did not happen, but I mean, you just have to deal with that, and that's the RNG aspect that I was talking about just a little bit ago. So here we're down to 15%, 15.5. We're doing okay. We're not doing great, but I still do believe that I am going to be able to make it. But we are gonna see how the RNG treats us for the rest of this. And treating us pretty good right there. You saw he was about to take another bonus turn, but then he didn't. I did get pretty lucky on that one. So here I'm full turn meter on everyone, so CLS is going to take a good turn. I did get a nice turn there on Ray. Here, yeah, we're good. We only got 3%, and that's pretty much going to be one hit from Finn. So there we go. Now we're through phase 1 and into phase 2. Phase 2 is pretty easy. I keep it on manual control for the first topple or two, But you could do auto from the beginning and just do manual targeting of the side turrets. But what I like to do is ensure that I'm going to win, and the way that I do that is by here we're gonna try to land a slow down, speed down on the ad, and then we're gonna call BB-8 to assist on the side turrets. We're trying to get damage on those side turrets. And what I want is you want to have roughly 30% damage on, or sorry, 15%. Sorry, and here I'm using the big special and start stacking my damage on Finn. That's why I hit the main turret with Finn. It's because he gets stacking damage on his special for every subsequent hit that he does with it. So here I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hit the turret again. I'm trying to land as much damage as I can before the topple, and this looks like about it. I don't think that I'm gonna get another turn on anyone before he goes, so now I'm gonna topple him, and then we'll just focus the turret from here. And now what you want is about 15% damage per topple. If you can make 15% per topple, then you're good. And then, just like in phase 1, now that he's toppled, you call 3PO to assist. And you can use 3PO's assist move every time because he's toppled. He won't gain the bonus turn meter while he's toppled, so you can just go ham. Now, so you're aiming for 15% damage per topple. You always use Luke's call to action when it's available because that helps to lower the cooldown on Illuminated Destiny. You're always using specials on everyone that you can, and always using the damage special on Finn on this phase. It doesn't matter who you target with 3PO's call to assist. Excuse me. Because everyone's going to stay at 3 stacks of translation out there. I should have done the call to action to lower the cooldown on Illuminated Destiny, but I wasn't paying enough attention. So it was a slight mistake, but it's not going to be the end of the world no matter what. So again, you're aiming for 15% damage per topple. So what I prefer is to be at 85% at the end of the first topple. I don't believe that I'm gonna make that, and if I do, it would be just barely. And that's okay. On the first topple, you're gonna get less damage than you will on subsequent topples because Finn has to stack his damage, and he stacks the damage as the fight goes on. So after the first topple, Finn should be maxed on his damage output, and then you should be hopefully able to make up that extra whatever percent damage you don't make. So here we're sitting at 88%. I actually might be able to make it down to 85 before the end of this topple now that I'm seeing exactly how I'm doing. So and if I don't make it, like I said, it might be just barely that I don't, and that's perfectly fine to not make it to that 85% the first time. But subsequent times you're going to want to hit that 15% mark. So topple 2 you want 70, topple 3 you want 55, topple 4 you want 40, etc., etc. And 15% per topple should make it so that you're able to fully solo phase 2. Now, okay, so when it's not toppled, I try to squeeze in as much damage as I can on the main tank while I take down the side turrets. So what that means is that I use Finn's special to take out the or to do damage on the main tank and I use everyone else to target the side turrets and the top turret, until there's only one turret left, and at that point I just take out that last turret and go on. So once you are sure of yourself, once you have basically exceeded that threshold of 15% per topple, and like I said, what I prefer to do is I prefer to do the first 2 topples on manual control, and that kind of usually gives me a little bit of buffer room. It allows me to get it down to 70% and then some, and that gives me a little bit of buffer, and then I put it on auto battle and I just manually target the turrets between topples, and just let the AI be really retarded and make tons and tons of mistakes. But by that time, as long as you've got that little bit of buffer room, like maybe 5% damage or so, then you should be fine. Because optimally, you'll always call 3PO to assist when it's toppled. A lot of the times the AI will, the AI calls random people with Ray's call to assist, and the AI can call Finn. If the AI calls Finn, which it does very regularly, it's a wasted call to assist. Like, ideally you're going to want to call 3PO, and if you're not calling 3PO, you're going to want to call BB-8, because if you call BB-8 with the roll with the punches, then you're going to also call someone else. Could be Ray again, could be 3PO, or it could be Finn. So it's really a waste to just call Finn, but the AI does it all the time. So you just kind of have to watch it and just like shake your head every time the AI does something stupid. But it's kind of funny as well, just to see how well or how badly the AI plays. And here we can see we're down to less than 70%. So now we're in that buffer zone that I was talking about. So if I can make it down to like 65%, that's a 5% buffer for me to make mistakes or have the AI make mistakes. And that's 5% damage to be spread over all of the remaining like 5 or 6 topples. But yeah, so it's fairly straightforward in what you're doing. So there I'm at that I'll be at 5% right now. So I've got that buffer. I can go ahead and I can throw it on manual control at this point as I feel safe. I'm gonna just do one more mass call to assist here. Actually, since I'm so close to it, I'm gonna do this in between topple on manual control again, but then I will put it on auto battle after that. Now what I want to do here is I want to land speed down. Always want speed down to be on the tank. So if you have to use a basic from the CLS, or you have to use Ray's Jedi mind trick wave thing, either way, you want speed down on the main tank all the time. So here we go. That was overkill, but you always want to be using specials if you can help it. And here I'm squeezing in as much damage as I can before the topple, and then we target the main or the side turrets again. And from this point, I'll go ahead and I'll throw it on auto battle. And we'll let the AI do its thing. It's gonna be really stupid, like I said. It's gonna make a lot of mistakes, but in the end, it is gonna be slightly faster than doing it on manual, plus, of course, less stress because you're not doing it yourself. And all you're gonna have to do is, when it comes out of topple at this point, you target the side turrets, you target the top turret, let it topple, and then you just let it do its damage on the main tank and go on and on and on. Just as you'll see over the next few minutes. Alright, so we're at 46%. So I've actually done a lot more damage than what I'm used to on this particular topple. So now at this point, like I said, I'm going to manually target the side turrets and the top turret, and I'm going to take them down. And then after they're down, we'll go ahead and go after the main turret again. There we go. Okay, so something to keep in mind for phase 2 is the topple count. So you see right now I have 9 turns until topple. That is not actually 9 turns, that is 5 turns. The reasoning for that is the tank takes 2 turns every time it comes out of topple. So if it says it's at 9, at the end of this topple, once it takes its turns, it's going to have 7 turns till enrage. And then the next turn is going to have 5 turns till enrage. And then 3 turns, and then 1 turn. So that's why you're aiming for so much damage per topple. It's because the tank takes 2 turns. So you'll see now it's at 8, and now it's going to be at 7. So like I said, it takes 2 turns every time it comes out of topple. So you want to get that 15% damage, because that ensures that you're going to get enough damage in before it actually goes enraged. Okay, so now we're sitting at 25% to enrage. We are sitting pretty. We should be able to finish this pretty easily. And then we go into phase 3. Phase 3 is extremely easy. It will be pretty much auto battle throughout the entire thing. The only thing that you have to be careful about is if the enemy rocket droid does take a turn, he's going to put that undispellable buff onto one of the adds, and you kind of do want to make sure that you kill that add, because if that add happens to take a turn, then it could potentially one-shot or land like I don't know if it's the staggers, I can't remember, as it's been so long since it happened, but it could land a debuff or do enough damage to really mess up your entire run. So you want to make sure that if a side droid does get one of those buffs, that you kill off that side droid. But aside from that, it's going to be auto battle, and you're just going to focus down on the B2 rocket droid, and that's going to be it. So phase 3 is really simple. Phase 4 is also really simple. It's going to be almost exactly like this. The only difference is that there's those two, well, there are some pretty big differences in Phase 2 and Phase 4. Phase 2, you can do fully on auto battle, just like I'm doing here, once you get the dazes on those B2s on the side. So you daze the B2s with Jedi Ray, or you put 2 stacks of Confuse on them with 3PO, either one. At that point, you just take down the side turrets and you attack the main tank while it's toppled, and that's it. You don't have to worry about squeezing in extra damage between attack or between topples or anything along those lines. It is very easy to take care of Phase 4. He only takes 1 turn per topple. He does not take 2 like it does in Phase 2. So it is quite a bit easier. You're not as rushed to get that damage in, which is why you can do it full auto. So here we go into Phase 3. Phase 3 is going to be very, very boring here, as it's going to be auto battle pretty much the entire way, and I'm not really going to have to do a thing, with the exception of possibly killing one side droid at some point in time. So here we go. So I did not get exposes on those side droids at the beginning, which means that the side droids are going to take turns at some point. There they go. But I don't have to worry about killing them. They do minimal damage unless the B2 takes a turn and gets the that undispellable buff on. If the B2 does happen to take a droid, or if the B2 does happen to take a turn and puts the buff on, hopefully you're going to have enough stacks of exposed that you'll be able to one-shot whichever droid that buff does go on. This. Alright, so we're just gonna kind of let this play out. I'm gonna keep an eye on it, but I'm not gonna even be touching this screen as it continues to wreck the B2. We're at 80%, and it's been, I think, about 2 minutes roughly since I have entered Phase 3, so damage is going along pretty well. At the end of this, I will go over the mods that I have on these characters. I never switch these mods out. They are what they are. They're what I use for my Grand Arena. It's not the most amazing mods. These are like C-tier mods maybe on CLS, maybe, probably even less than C-tier, and more like F-tier on my Resistance characters. And that's because, you know, I just don't want to bother swapping mods around for raids. I don't even swap mods around when it comes to doing my heroic Sith raids, so I end up ranking myself pretty low in the Sith standings, because I refuse to swap my mods around every time that there's a Sith raid. So there you go, the B2 did take a turn. You can see the undispellable buff over here on this little droid over here, so we're going to finish him off so that he does not one-shot one of my characters, and then we'll go and we'll focus back on the B2. And that's what I was talking about. So sometimes the B2 does take a turn, and when he does, you just need to keep an eye on those side droids. Other than that, you just let the AI do what it needs to do. While it might not be as efficient as manual control, in that it's going to call Finn to assist sometimes with Ray, or it's just not going to do something the optimal way. It really is faster because it automatically chooses whatever move it's going to do very quickly, and you don't have to worry about doing it yourself. So it is faster on auto battle, as opposed to on manual control. So we are now around 50%. Still hasn't been all that long. I almost want to say that it's the exact same as it was just a second ago. That my clock is the same, but it hasn't advanced any. I'm sure that's not correct, but it seems that way. It's at 45%. Down to 40. As this battle continues to wage on, you'll notice that the game does get laggier and laggier. It's been like that for a while. I want to say that it's because of all of the stacks of exposed that get put out there. But I've also killed off all of the side droids earlier on in the fight, and it still ends up going slower and slower the further along that you get in the battle. So I'm not 100% sure what causes the graphics, I guess, to slow down. I thought that it was the exposes, but I'm honestly not sure at this point. And this is the only phase that really happens in. It doesn't happen very much in phase 2. Doesn't really happen in, like, it doesn't happen in phase 1, phase 2, or phase 4. It is only phase 3 that this really starts slowing down, and this can actually cause it to it causes the game to almost freeze when it transitions at the end of phase 3 into phase 4. But if you just kind of let it sit, if it does look like it's freezing, it should recover itself. And I have a feeling that that's going to happen here at the end of this phase, based on how my game is running right now. So we're at 15%. It's been about 6 minutes, I think, maybe 7 minutes since the since the start of phase 3. It's been about that long. So this is going fairly quickly, faster than I would have anticipated. I have not swapped my mods on any of these characters at any time recently, so that is kind of surprising. Although it's possible that sometimes I run this without a couple of mods on my characters, because one thing I do is I swap a lot of 6E mods around when it's not time for Grand Arena or Territory War. So right now I do have all of my mods equipped on all of my characters, and that might be the difference that I'm seeing, is that I actually do have mods equipped on all of these characters, because the Grand Arena and Territory War sign up was last night, and I have not swapped all of my mods around again. Or actually, Grand Arena sign-ups is tonight, so I've got to make sure that at the end of the night, after my arena climbs, I swap my mods around. So there you saw at the end of phase 2, or phase 3 there, it did freeze for a second, and it looked like the game might have been crashing, but you just kind of let it sit there and it should recover itself and allow you to continue on with the battle here. So right here at the beginning of phase 4, I am going to use manual control until I get the dazes on the ads. Actually, I'm just going to kill that one probably. Maybe I won't have to. We'll put a daze. Unfortunately, my daze move is not up, so we'll just kill that one. And we're going to start killing the side turrets. And after we kill the side turrets, here's a daze, so we can throw a daze on this guy so he'll no longer take a turn. We'll kill off the side turrets, we'll topple it, and we'll throw it on auto battle, manual target here on the... I have to make sure that little circle right there is on the main tanks, because I don't want my my characters to randomly target that last ad. And once it comes out of topple, then I'm going to put it back on manual control so that I can put the daze on the other ad that's going to respawn. And then after that daze is on, then it'll once again be full auto, and I'll just manually target the side turrets just like I did in phase 2. I've got about 21 minutes left until I have to do my final arena until my payout. So I need to be getting finished with this really quickly so that I can get into that arena battle and hopefully take first place and not have to refresh. Come on. There we go. Okay, so he's out of topple. That was a mistake, actually. I just used that daze move. So that was a bit of a mistake. Now I've got to wait for the for that move to come back off of cooldown. Alright, so hopefully that's going to come off of cooldown here very quickly. There we go. Come on. Daze. Alright, daze landed. So we're good. We're going to go ahead and throw it back on auto battle. And now we just, like I said, we do manual targets to side turret between topples, and we let it just do all the damage it can on the main tank. So this run right here, it looks like it's probably going to take me about 42-43 minutes by the end of this. If you are really efficient and your mods are good, you can get it down to like 33 minutes, maybe 32. So I definitely did it quite a bit slower than normal. Even though my damage output did seem to be kind of high at sometimes. And I can attribute a lot of that to my phase 2 as I did a lot of that manual control at the beginning, you don't have to do that. I still had, I think, 2 topples left by the time I finished phase 2. So I do that more for my sake than actual necessity. I probably could have put it on auto and just did that manual targeting of the side turrets and been fine. But like I said, I prefer the safety, and I mean, whatever you want to do is, you know, that's good for you. Whatever works, that's the idea. You just want to, like, you want to get your solo in however you can. But as you saw, I manually targeted the 3 side turrets in turn, and now I focus on the main tank. I ignore the side droids now. They'll no longer take turns because of Jedi Grey's leadership and the exposes and dazes. So you just target the main turret and let it go. So 56%, 55%, 54, 53,
62.
There's my son chiming in. 52, 51, 50,
49.
Gonna keep counting. 48, 47, 46, 45,
44, 43, 42, 41, 30.
40.
40.
So now we're still at 43. He got a little bit ahead of it.
37, 36, 35, 34, 33, 32, 31. Now.
My son, I don't know if you can hear him. He's sitting right next to me. Right over here. There's the top of his head. There he is. So there's my son.
Where's me right there?
He wants to see himself on the other screen. He is 6 years old, and he is counting backwards. There you go, Gabriel. He's playing a game on his tablet. He's playing with puzzles. Okay, so we're at 24. Moving on down pretty quickly. I think I am gonna have to immediately after this go into my arena and do that battle before I go over my mods. Simply because of the time that I've got left. There's only 15 minutes left. I only have one more battle that I have to do, but with this current meta with Darth Revan Malak, and with my mods in particular against my arena shard, I do have to I do have to make sure that I have time to do at least 2 battles, just in case. So There we are at 7. And 6.5. 6. 5. 4.
3, 2, 1, 0.
2.
1, 0.
Almost. Almost. It's a little bit slower than that, Gabriel. A little slower than that.
2, 1, 0.
1 and 0. Alright. So there you go. That is a heroic AAT solo. I will go over the mods, but I do have to do one quick arena battle. Hopefully, well, it will be quick. That's one thing. That's the one good thing about this arena meta, is that they are quick battles for the most part. But I am gonna have to do that before I go over my mods, and that's simply due to the nature of the meta and the arena shard that I'm in. But we're gonna take care of that. And if you don't want to watch the arena battle, I will put a timestamp in the description of the video down below. You can refer to that for the timestamp of the arena or of the mod review. Okay, so this guy actually has the Shakti clone with what's his face in there. That's not so bad. I could actually
I'm gonna wait.
probably use a different team, but I'm gonna just use my my normal arena team. I don't need Yoda in there. I think I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use Brood Alpha as the last one. Actually, it's not really normal, but all right. Let's do this. Having fun, little buddy?
Yes.
Let's try to get Shakti out of here. Heal and cleanse up and stuff. Alright. Now we'll focus Anakin down. Just basic, I don't want to break that fear over there. Alright, so Anakin goes down. Then it's going to be 5s. Okay, there's no more fear, so we'll go ahead and do that. And put a fear over on Rex. And finish off 5s.
And 4s.
And 4s, apparently.
And 3s.
And 3s.
And 2s. And 1s.
Okay, so I was
And
able to take
0s.
first there. And I can actually leave that team in overnight. That's good. Okay, so we'll go into the roster and we'll take a look at those the characters that I use and their mods real quick. And you can see how I've got them modded. So Resistance. We'll start with Jedi Rey. So as you can see, I've got not fully geared. She's got the left pieces of gear 12. She's got one gear 12 plus piece on. She only has the 1 Zeta on the leadership. Here's her mods. So 9 speed, aiming for speed and offense with some crit damage and crit chance on the mods themselves. They're not the best mods, like I said. 15 speed there, 9 speed here, crit damage primary on the triangle, 12 speed there, 35 offense, and here we got a potency primary for her wave and 15 speed on the secondary. So she's at 238 speed. So that's plus 92, 66% crit damage, and plus 300 damage. R2 is not used. BB-8, here I've got speed set and health set on him. He's sitting at 102 speed. His crit chance is a little bit necessary, but not not game changing. And his damage, of course, is also not necessary. You mainly are wanting speed. So here I used a crit chance primary, and this is more because of the phase 1 of Sith Raid. You kind of want crit chance on him. So there's 10 speed there with crit chance primary, speed arrow. Speed there is 11, 12 speed, 11 speed, and 12 speed. So again, not the best of mods. 3PO, again, just as much speed as I could get. So he's sitting at 270, so there's a speed arrow. There's a 14 speed on his square, 16 speed on the diamond, 19 speed on the triangle, 17 speed here on the circle, and 17 speed on the cross. So he probably has the best of the mods because I use him in a lot of teams. I use him in Rebels, Resistance, or Padme interchangeably. So there's those guys. Finn is the last one. As you saw, mine was under geared. He's at gear 9, but still able to do it. I've got him loaded up with crit damage, a little bit of speed, and offense. So he's at 302 offense. There you go, speed primary on the arrow with a high offense secondary, 11 speed there, 24 speed off or 24 offense, 11 speed percentage offense, crit damage primary, 11 speed, 9 speed, 71 offense. So again, I'm aiming for offense and aiming for speed. Kind of a good mix. And then for the last character is CLS. So CLS, I have gear 12, only the 3 right pieces, none of the left pieces. I have speed set on him and potency set on him. So there's a 100 offense mod, 4 speed, 30 speed, no offense stats there. Crit damage primary on the triangle, 9 speed, 79 offense. 110 offense there with 10 speed, 14 speed here, and then this should be a potency primary on the cross, 9 speed on that. So he's sitting at 243 speed. He's got a good amount of potency on him, which is very helpful to help him land his debuffs. So 91 speed, 55% potency, and there's 500 physical damage. So that's the mods for the HAAT solo team that I use. You can also use, instead of CLS, you can use Han Solo. It works pretty much exactly the same. You just do not want to use the first well, you don't want to use either special with Han, generally. Generally, if you're using Han in that lineup, you only want to use his basic, because his basic gives that turn meter reduction. While this does give him a bonus turn, if you're using this in phase 1, you can cause Grievous to take a bonus turn when you actually don't want him to, and that can really mess up your run. But never tell me the odds. You really do not need the buffs from this because of Illuminated Destiny. Gives you all of those buffs anyways, so you don't really need it. So that is it. That is Heroic AAT Solo. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe if you like. Come and visit me on my Twitch channel, and we will see you in the next video. We have Grand Arena starting up again tomorrow, so we'll be doing some Grand Arena videos. coming up here in the next couple of days, so stay tuned for that. Hope you enjoyed, and have a good one.